Go live. Oh, I need to plug in though. Hi everyone. We are going live on the bus, and I am super excited to be sitting across from one of my heroes, all-time heroes, superstar Tommey.
We're team.
Yes, we're all a team, and we were just talking about how important it is for the mothers to get more involved and step up, and really this needs to be a revolution of mothers, because what I feel like is happening is they're trying to disconnect us from our instinct and from what we know to be true, right? When they tell us, oh, it wasn't the vaccine reaction. Oh, no, vaccines are good for you. When you look at that needle and you think, do I really want that in my child? They are trying to disconnect us from our power as women and from our instinct. So this needs to be a revolution of mothers. So I feel extremely grateful to be across from one of the most powerhouse mothers in the world. Oh, don't hide your face.
No, sorry, I was showing Periscope, and we've got We Are Vaxxed, and we've got Autism Mothers, and we've got Brandy Vaughan. It's going out to a lot of people.
Yeah, so this is amazing. So we're going to film my story, and my vaccine injury story, why I keep my son vaccine free, my time at Merck, and I thought I would invite you guys to join us. So
you're going to go into the hands of a new.
Yes. And there's a new.
Hi. And he's a very important part.
Yes.
Of this team. So how are you going to do that one? All these cameras everywhere, people.
At least in one of them, I should have a decent angle, hopefully.
You got a great Periscope. Always has priority here. Don't you, my Periscope peeps?
Hi, Periscope.
Yeah, sorry. They're really great people here on Periscope. They're just a big family.
I have to say hi now because I'm not really on Periscope. I can only limit my, I don't have.
You should be. You'd be great on Periscope.
I'm on Instagram. Join me there.
Okay, go over to Instagram and join Brandy.
I have my favorites, Facebook and Instagram, and I try to do a little Twitter.
You're getting a lot of hearts and a lot of love.
Periscope is still on the back burner for now. But you guys are awesome, and I'm sad to miss you on there.
Well, they love you anyway. Okay, anyway, you ready?
Let's say hi on Facebook, Instagram.
This is We Are Vaxxed. Say hello to We Are Vaxxed.
Hi. Hi, We Are Vaxxed.
This is Autism Mothers up here.
Hi, Autism Mothers.
Okay.
You guys rock. You guys are going to change the world. It's about the moms. I'm convinced. We've got this. All right.
So, first of all, before we start, people want to know, is it official that you're going to be in London with Andy?
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna. Yes. I'm gonna be in London.
Brandy,
I wasn't sure if we were trying to keep it on the down low.
Watch out, trolls! Watch out! You just try fighting Brandy Vaughan.
Yeah,
Andy, what a great team! Great team. Thank you.
Fiona.
What we just can't do is say where it's going to be.
Right.
Oh yeah, if you can meet Fiona, could you give her a big hug and tell her you love her
so
much?
I would love to give Fiona a big hug.
Mwah.
Because we need women like her on our side.
Right, we do.
On the real side. So for those who don't know, my name is Brandy Vaughan. I run learntherisk.org for Merck. So I was actually here. We're in Santa Barbara right now. I was in Santa Barbara calling on doctors. I sold Vioxx, Zocor, and Singulair.
Could I just ask you, what was your view on vaccines when you were a young Merck rep?
So I was normal American with this kind of brainwashed mindset, to trust doctors, to not ask questions, to, just do what the doctor said. So at that point, before I started working in pharmaceuticals, I was vaxxed, including a hepatitis B booster at 25, which I had a reaction to, which is actually why I'm on the bus as well, to tell my story. But I was completely vaxxed. I, was pretty much mainstream mentality that, our medical system is fighting for our health, and I'm going to be a part of it. And I chose Merck because I felt like they were the most ethical of the pharmaceutical companies. Even from the outside, some were a little scarier than others.
Was it glamorous? Was it a glamorous job? Did they offer you sort of?
Yeah, I mean, one of the most disturbing, now that I look back on it, factors of the job was it was a bit glamorous, and the power you held over doctors, right? Who, when you are from, a child, you listen to the doctor, you trust them, they're on this pedestal. But then when you go in there as a pharma rep, the power you hold over them was shocking to me. So it was almost, it was like a powerful position, right? And I had Vioxx, which was a blockbuster drug.
So how would you get them to get a drug? What would you say to them? Like, have this and I'll give you this?
You charm them. And so in the training, you take a 2-month training. You are taken away from your family, and you go with 60 other new sales reps, and you are trained and brainwashed for 2 months, 60 hours a week. They tell you how to profile doctors. They tell you what personality types like, what to say to different personality types. They also have multiple reps in each area, because some people are going to have better chemistry than with others, right? So that's why they have so many reps calling on the same doctors. And you profile them, you tell stories about the doctors in your region, you say, oh, this one likes golf, this one likes this, you need to tell them that you like golf, you need to tell them that you like,
Wow. I know, were they all beautiful like you? Sorry, I know that sounds awful, but that whole charming, beautiful girl comes in. Sorry, I know
no,
that's
there were probably half guys, because again, it depends. Well, female doctors, but also there are some guys that are going to listen to men more than they listen to women. So it was across the board, half men, half women, I'd say, mostly young, right? Because they take you out of college and they brainwash you, and they indoctrinate you into this system, and they can control you because you're fresh out of college. You don't have your own ideas about the world necessarily, but you want to make a change, right? You're idealistic, and so they tell you this is how you're making a change in the world, right?
So how do you get?
You're going to help people be healthy,
right? When
it's actually the complete opposite.
But the doctors are so busy. What's the time slot to sell a drug to a doctor?
Doctors see pharma reps as much as they see patients during the day. Like in lunches, you bring them lunch. They pretty much, doctors who see reps, there is a small percentage of doctors that refuse to see reps, and so that's a little different. But they still, go to conferences and get trained by pharma in a lot of other ways. But they spend time with reps pretty much every lunch. The hospitals, the major clinics always have a pharmaceutical rep in there for lunch. There's dinners. There's, you train other doctors to speak for your drugs, other doctors they may respect. And then you have a educational night, dinners, lunches. You buy them coffee in the morning, you bring them muffins, you take them golfing, you show up at their kids' school fundraiser. There are so many doctors. There are so many doctors that think their best friends are pharmaceutical reps. And that is how you hold that power. Because they think, oh yeah, there are all of these families and parents and patients saying one thing, but my friends wouldn't let me down. And those friends happen to work for pharma, but they're my friends, right? You create and establish these relationships which are based on lies, but very convincing, right? And pharma trains you how to do it. They train you with different tactics, different personality typing trainings, all of these types of things.
So if I was a doctor and you were selling me a drug, what would I get out of it? Do I get a bonus? Do I get a holiday? What do I get? What's the point of,
Well, a lot of it is indirect, right? There are conferences funded by pharma in Hawaii. There are industry conferences, associations. A lot of industry associations are funded by pharma, right? Pharma is sponsoring all of these different events all around the world, and there is a little bit of ego involved, right? Doctors are primed during medical school. Oh yeah, it's a very prestigious, you're on a pedestal, and then they have doctors they emulate and they consider their heroes. And so then you host all of these events with them, and they get one-on-one time with this prestigious doctor.
So it's social climbing.
Right, and power, and pharmaceutical reps stroke the egos of the doctors, and so they feel powerful, they feel like they're doing something meaningful, and there is, there are indirect bonuses and money involved. A lot of times it's being funneled through health insurance companies, right? To be a provider, you have to hit a certain percentage of vaccinated population, or you're dropped off our provider list and you're going to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Or there are direct bonuses. Some companies do direct bonuses per child that's vaccinated, right? It could be in the tens of thousands of dollars. And these doctors not only have their own mouths to feed and themselves to think about, they have an entire staff, right? So they may have a receptionist who has a vaccine-injured child and doesn't even know it, but they have high medical bills. So there's so much involved with why more doctors don't speak out, what they have to risk. Plus, they've spent hundreds of thousands going through this medical school training, which, again, it's not health school, okay? It's medical school, and it's sponsored by pharmaceutical companies. They're ghostwriting textbooks. They are in the classrooms. They are hosting wine and dines after. They are pitching their drugs. They are paying the salaries of some of the professors at medical schools. You know, they are funding the medical schools grants and the academic side of it. So there is so much going on behind the scenes, you know, and so much power that pharmaceutical companies have that most people don't even see unless you're on the inside. And you see the tactics they use, right? There's also state licensing. Doctors can lose their licenses because state licensing boards are also funded by pharma in indirect ways. So it is a vicious cycle. One of my goals after being in pharmaceutical industry and seeing how they twist the information, how half of studies go unpublished because they don't meet the predetermined end that the pharmaceutical company is funding, right? So I saw all of this from behind the scenes, and the thing that I encourage people to do, and I hope to empower people, is to step outside of that. Step outside of the medical system. They're good for crisis care, and there are some amazing things going on. But in terms of our health, collectively, individually, we need to take it back into our own hands and stop relying on the people that are pushing profit, right? Indirectly, maybe your doctor doesn't understand how indoctrinated he's become. But it's there, and we really need to take it back into our own hands and do our own research.
So how people asking how were you fired from Merck? Did you leave Merck? There's lots of those questions.
So I started with Merck in 2001, and Vioxx was a blockbuster drug. I won sales awards for selling it, actually. In my territory.
You were a really good sales rep. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I feel like
is.
I have blood on my hands.
I know you didn't. You were lied to.
I was lied to, but I think I didn't stroke egos with a lot of the doctors. I was very real. I mean, it's how I am now. You know, I get in trouble sometimes on Facebook for, you know, very direct comments and things like that. I was always very direct, and you know, I didn't stroke egos so much. So I think that they trusted me more, almost, in that way. But yes, so actually, a friend and a colleague of mine were chosen to launch a new statin, Zetia. So I was pulled off. I still had Vioxx samples and things like that, but I was pulled off Vioxx even about a year into it, and I was exclusively calling on cardiologists, launching Zetia for Merck. There were only 2 of us in this region. It was a bit of a prestigious promotion, you could say. But I was seeing what was happening with Vioxx, and people were asking me, and I was getting all these questions. Information started to come out that Vioxx was causing increased risk of heart attack and stroke, and people were dying. Pfizer started spreading some stuff, you know, because there's always corporate espionage going on. You know, Merck has people at Pfizer, Pfizer has people at Merck, you know, Merck has people in our movement, all of that. You know, I mean, they have entire divisions for this kind of thing. So Pfizer started talking about the study that Merck had stopped. Merck stopped a Vioxx study when I was there that we'd already been talking about to doctors, and all of a sudden it was stopped. And it was like, you don't talk about it anymore. All of our materials were confiscated. We had new trainings. This is now what we say. You know, we're moving away from that. And Pfizer got wind of that, and they said it's because the study showed that there was an increase in heart attack, stroke, and death. And we were trained to lie to doctors and tell them that that wasn't the truth and that it wasn't killing people.
But you didn't know that you were being trained to lie. So, okay,
we didn't know
really
it.
relevant. By the way, people say you don't have blood in your hand, you have love on your hands. They love you. It's all good.
Thank you.
Carry on.
So we didn't know, you know, we were indoctrinated. I thought Vioxx, I got my grandma put on Vioxx. I got her switched from Celebrex to Vioxx because I believed in it so much, right? That is how indoctrinated they make you. In fact, they have you know, I don't know, CIA, government people that have been doing it for a lifetime that come into the trainings and tell you how to profile, how to, and they train you, they manipulate you as well. So I believed in the drug. But the more things that I saw from the inside, the more emergency trainings we had, the more the study was stopped, the more I kept hearing about that, the more doctors kept asking me, why is this Pfizer rep saying this? Why is a New York Times journalist supposedly going to write an article about this? What's going on? What's going on? And I was hearing so much, it became really clear that that we were being lied to. And I wasn't even selling Vioxx at that point necessarily, but I was getting the questions from the cardiologists. I left Merck. I went on a leave of absence because I was disgusted, because I couldn't handle what I was seeing and I couldn't ethically continue to do it. So I went on a leave of absence under the auspice of the fact I was moving. I was supposed to contact managers to get a new position in a new territory, which was going to be Portland, Oregon, and I never contacted anyone. I started writing, actually, and I totally left healthcare at that point. I actually went to New York and I did an internship at a magazine. I was disgusted. 6 months later, I got the opportunity to move to Europe with my partner at the time, and I got to live over in Holland, where I saw something completely different. I saw healthy people. I mean, you don't become the tallest people in the world if you're not healthy, right? I mean, a lot of the vaccine injury we see is failure to thrive, because when your body is so busy fighting toxins, it cannot develop properly. That's why we have so many developmental delays and failure to thrive. So I was in Holland, and they do things very differently. I was introduced to herbs, homeopathy. I started doing Buddhist meditation. I became vegetarian. I started doing yoga. I started working for people like the Friends of the Earth in Europe, and editing reports on industrial agriculture, GMOs, pesticides, wastewater reports for the United Nations Environment Program. I was a consultant for them. So I started to wake up about how we were being poisoned. First, how our environment was being poisoned and our food was being poisoned, and how our agriculture and our water were being poisoned. And then I got into the health side of it. I had a friend, British actually friend, who had a home natural birth when I was there. And I remember saying to her, "You're crazy, you're gonna have a home birth? What? Nobody does that. I mean, that's dangerous." And 5 years later, I had my own home birth, natural, in Amsterdam with my son, with midwife, that I mostly kicked out of the room and did it kind of on my own, in a pool of water, with no lights, with no noise. And
tell me you had somebody with you.
Oh yeah, I had my doula,
okay.
and my birth partner, who was my friend that had the home birth 5 years earlier.
I have actually met Brandy's son, and he is amazing. Anyway, carry on.
Yep. So how I got into vaccines, I'm kind of getting around there. I can be long-winded at times.
No, you're great. Everyone's loving you, by the way.
I had my home birth, and the midwife, at about a 2 or 3 month appointment in Amsterdam, she said, "Do you want to talk about vaccines? Some moms want to talk about it at this point." And I said, "My son's totally healthy. Why would I talk about vaccines?" Because at that point, I had not, I was 8 years out of the medicalized system in the US. So it wasn't even on my radar. At 6 months, I took my vaccine-free, never been on a drug, no issues, no ear infections, no antibiotics, no colic, absolutely nothing. Son, back to San Francisco. I moved back to California, and I took him to a well visit, because that's what you do here, right? They need to be renamed vaccine visits, because that's basically what they're there to do, and they coincide with the vaccine schedule. I took him to a peds office, and the pediatrician said, "Oh, he hasn't had any vaccines. We need to catch him up."
Not even the vitamin K, they're asking.
What?
You didn't do the vitamin K either?
No.
No.
They don't do that. I mean, I had a home birth. They don't do that in Europe. They don't do the vitamin K like we do here. Yeah, and I wasn't at a hospital at all. I didn't even have hospital prenatal care. I had a midwife following me. So none of that. No shots in pregnancy, no vitamin K, no meds. arnica. I used arnica drops and Bach's
Which is
rescue
homeopathic,
remedy.
guys, and
Yeah.
not the same.
So anyway, yeah, all natural, no vitamin K, nothing. So then I took my son back to San Francisco to the peds visit. The pediatrician comes in, he needs dozens of vaccines, you know, a dozen to catch him up, and I was like, you know what, he's perfectly healthy, I think I'm going to do my research on that. And he said, I'm the doctor, I'll do the research. You know, I've done the research. I'm the doctor, I've done the research. You can trust me. And I said, I used to work for Merck, and I actually used to call on pediatricians. I know exactly where you get your research. I will do my own. And I thought it was a good joke. He did not like it. He stormed out of the room, slammed the door. Nurse comes in, okay, appointment's over, we'll see you in 2 months. And I said, you won't see me again. And my son never went back.
Good for you.
So that was the day I started my vaccine research. And what I have to say, I mean, everything I discovered with vaccines was far worse than anything I saw with Vioxx, because parents are being lied to. Vaccines are being introduced before the brain-blood barrier has an opportunity to develop. They're bypassing the detox system, they're bypassing the immune system, they're not even triggering the right immune response. And we are losing a generation of children to neurological and autoimmune issues that are linked to the toxins in vaccines, and to the fact that they're being introduced before our immune system and detox processes are mature, and they're bypassing them by being introduced in the arm or the thigh. So I didn't speak out initially on a public level. I just wanted to lead by example because I didn't want to be in the spotlight. When you work in pharmaceuticals, they make it very clear that your life will never be the same, will never be easy if you speak out against them. That's why there are so few whistleblowers, and there are so few people that work there and speak out.
How do they do that? Is it just a feeling of threat, or do they actually say, listen guys, you know?
They make it very clear how powerful they are, right? So when you work in pharma, you know everything is tracked. And this was, 15 years ago. And there's GPS on your car, there's GPS on your phone, they track all of your calls, every website you go to is tracked. They have a whole internal auditing system, and you know it. Every single thing you do is tracked. And that is so that you don't tell Pfizer their strategy, so you don't give information to the competitors. So you know automatically that every movement you make, is tracked. Every phone call, every email, every website you visit, all of that is tracked. It's also tracked in case you speak out. Maybe you have something incriminating, a website that you went to, or anything like that, or they know you're, have friends on the side and you're married or something like that. They track everything.
So have they ever threatened you?
Yeah.
Man, I the answer to that, but anyway, so I've put you in a position.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard one to talk about. But after I started speaking out, because of SB 277, which is a mandatory vaccine law in California, which requires 35 doses of vaccines for children before they can go into public or private school. And my son is vaccine-free, obviously, and he is so healthy, super healthy, but he was in the first kindergarten class affected by that new law. So I started speaking out. I was trying to lead by example before that because I don't really like the spotlight, and I didn't want to be under Pharma's spotlight. I mean, who does, really? So I didn't speak out until it directly affected my son with SB 277, and I started going to the rallies. I started speaking up at the microphone at the testimony, saying, I used to work for Merck. This bill is a bad idea, and things started happening. It was in between the 4th and the 5th hearing up in Sacramento that the first sign came. They found a hide key that I'd had stashed behind bushes that I'd actually looked for a couple months earlier because I thought probably not a good idea to speak out against Pharma and still have a hide key around my door, and I couldn't even find it. I don't have the best memory. I had a reaction to the aluminum in the Hep B, but I couldn't find it, and I looked for it for hours. when I came back from a rally in Sacramento, it was open to the key on the front.
I seem to remember, did you
mat.
go live on this or do a YouTube? Something happened. I watched it.
I did a video.
Yeah.
Because, so that was the first thing. After the next rally that I went to, that I actually spoke at on June 9th, and I had seen some really shady stuff going on in the testimony and in the hearing itself, and I saw some tactics from what I had seen inside Pharma being used supposedly on our side. I called it out on Facebook, and my house got broken into that night. And I think that they didn't know that I would get a warning because they had my master code. And I had just put that alarm system in 2 weeks or 3 weeks prior, after the key was on my doorstep. So it was a new alarm. Nobody had the code but ADT, the security system, and myself. But it was a wireless system. So someone broke in at 3:45 in the morning. I was staying at a hotel about an hour and a half north of here. My house in Santa Barbara was broken into. 3:45 in the morning. They keyed the lock. They came in, not a break-in per se. They came in through there. They tapped the code into the system within the 30 seconds, so there was no alert to the police. But it was triggered because they didn't use what I had on my keychain, which was the thing to turn it off before you go in. They were in there 4 minutes. My hallway sensor went off, so they went down the hallway to see my bedroom. They were in the kitchen, and then they opened and closed a dining room window. They forgot to lock it. That was the only mistake they made, the only evidence that they were there. And I got that the next morning. I got the email and I got the text message because they recoded the alarm and then they left and they locked the door after them. I got the messages, the text and the email the next morning, and I mean, it was probably one of the hardest days of my life because my son, we were going home to new puppies we had adopted 4 months previous, and my son, we were going home from Sacramento, and then all of a sudden we never went home. My son never went back to that house.
Oh, Brandy.
I never stayed another night there. And I got him out of the country 2 days later, but he never saw his dogs again. He never saw that house. They didn't take anything because they know that if they take something, they file a police report, and they don't want a police report, right? I know that they tapped it because, and maybe video, because I got my son out of the country and I came back 2 weeks later to move my stuff out because I rented it out. Why didn't I put video? That's what everyone says, because I didn't live there again. And I wasn't going to put a video system in and scare off renters. I got all my personal things out, so I came back. The day I got off the flight, which I did not book on my computer and I did not book on my phone, I booked in an internet place in France, the plane flight, so that they wouldn't know when I was coming back. They knew anyway, because when I drove up to the house, my neighbor comes running out, who was watching my dogs, and she said, "That step ladder, I don't know how it got there." She was freaking out. There was a step ladder that was taken from my garage, which was my step ladder, and it was under my bedroom window and open, as in, "We're watching you." So they knew exactly when I was coming back. And I didn't do it on my phone. I didn't do it on my computer. The only thing I did was use my credit card. And so they knew the day I was coming back. And then they came back 2 days later. They came back and they left. So I know that they had tapped the place because I had talked about a computer that had been hidden, and it's on the video that I did, which I did not want to do. But it was very well hidden above my microwave, under my counter. You wouldn't have been able to see it in 4 minutes. But my friend who was with me when the police came to clear the house, I had dropped my son off at a friend's house. When I came back to the house after the morning after I got the message, I called the police, and yes, I have call records. The sheriff's department came out. He cleared it. My friend was there. She said, did they get your computer? Because she knew my computer was hidden. It wasn't the computer I was technically using, but it was one I used before that they had crashed, and so I had a new one. But anyway, 2 days later, they had come back. My alarm system was offline one night for 30 minutes, and my computer was open on my kitchen floor. So I know that they had tapped the place. They came out back a couple of other times, really disturbing things, but nothing you can call the police about, right? Just things that you know. And they were intimidation things to silence me. They came back 5 times in total. They had moved my Buddha once. It could not have fallen. It was too heavy. It would have broken if it had fallen. They moved it. It was on the cage of my dogs. I had to give my dogs away. I'm thankful they didn't do anything to them. The last time that I was there moving stuff out, it was the last day, and then it was going to be rented. I had conversations on my phone. People were like, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to stay there? And I said, no, I haven't been back overnight. I've only been there during the day with someone else there with me, because I feel like a sitting duck. They know how to get into my place. They know which bedroom is mine. I feel like a sitting duck. Well, I looked out my kitchen window on that last day I was there, and there was a duck on my patio table right in line of the kitchen window. I have never owned a duck in my life, and it wasn't mine. And a duck just doesn't appear on your backyard patio table. You know, a neighbor just doesn't drop off a duck on your neck, you know. And it was staring, looking right into the kitchen, right into the window, the way it was placed. So, you know, that's what they did to me. After that, I talked to a friend who has a family member who used to work in corporate intimidation. He used to work for Blackwater, and he used to do these things, and I feel blessed that I had that connection, because he told me, I said, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? I'm scared. And he said, you have to make a video of it. And I said, no way. I mean, like, I can't. This is like traumatic. I still probably suffer some PTSD. Hi, Pharma, you're probably happy about that. From it. And I said, I can't. And he said, you have to, because you need to protect yourself, and they will stop doing it if you make it public. The last thing you want to do now is be quiet. So I made a video. It's on YouTube.
What's it called, so people can go and see it?
I had a friend at the time put it together, who does video. He has it on his YouTube channel. Intimidation, and my name. I've never watched it because I can't.
I've watched it.
But it's something like Intimidation of Brandy Vaughan. I had nothing to do with the title or anything like that, because I just gave him the raw footage. I had a friend hold the camera, you know, I explained what they did. And I did that because I was told that I needed to do that because I was on their radar, and they said, you have to be as public as possible. And you have to get this out there, and that's the only way to protect yourself now, because you're on their radar. You don't want to be in that gray area. You have to blow this up.
We'll protect you, Brandy. Everybody loves you. Wow, it's such bravery. Such bravery.
Well, I mean, I didn't speak out against Vioxx. I didn't speak out about that. I didn't speak out against vaccines when I knew that vaccine, you know, when I first started doing the research. I only spoke out when my son was going to be affected. I feel guilty for that still, you know.
Can I just say one thing? Periscope, this is typical behaviour of Periscope. Obviously Brandy's saying something that's freaking them out. Go over to We Are Vaxxed on Facebook, Brandy Vaughan's site, or Autism Mothers if you're struggling with this.
Yeah. I can imagine they
yeah,
do that to me all the
Periscope
time.
are a nightmare. Okay, No, I mean, not the people.
But yeah, so, you know, I feel like I had to. Like, I cannot not speak out. Like, we're losing a generation of children. And not only for the ones that are vaccine injured or have died, I mean, some of those stories, I mean, that keep me going. And in fact, the angels that I feel surround me are the ones that have lost their lives to vaccines.
Did you see how beautiful babies?
SIDS, yeah, SIDS, and even, you know, teenagers, and I mean, adults. There are so many stories.
I know, the Gardasil girls, it's horrific. Okay, so let's talk about your vaccine injuries. We didn't quite talk about that.
So right before I went to work for Merck, I was 25 in 2001. I got a Hep B booster. I believe it was probably the Hep A, Hep B combination, which is a Merck vaccine. And I broke out in hives. The next morning I woke up with hives, massive hives that were this big and inflamed all over my chest and all over my arms. And this was the morning after the doctor appointment. And I went back to the doctor that day and I said, I've never had hives in my life. Like, what is this? I didn't even know it was hives. I was like, what are these round circles all over my body? And he said, well, you must have eaten something. And I said, well, I started feeling bad after that shot, so I haven't really eaten that much. And he's like, well, it must have been something. And I was like,
anything but the vaccine.
Yeah, I didn't eat anything. But, you know, at that time I didn't know to question. So I was like, okay. He gave me an antihistamine. I took it. Within 2 weeks I was back in his office with massive cramping. And I was having 3 to 4 times a week. It grew to 4 to 5 times a week, cramping in the abdominal area. Like, it happened in the afternoons, evenings, and I would be doubled over on the couch. Like, I could hardly move. I remember there were nights where I couldn't even make myself dinner. Like, I was just on the couch. I'm not one to call, I never was really one to go to the hospital anyways, so I never really went there, but I did go to the gastroenterologist. I remember him saying, wow, I don't see girls as young as you very often in my practice. And that was 15 years ago, and I think now it's a very different scenario because of the HPV vaccine and because of all the boosters and vaccines that they're pushing on, you know, teenagers and young girls. So I did the blood testing, stool testing. He said, okay, you need to go off of, you know, wheat, dairy, alcohol. Soy was a huge trigger for me as well. So instead of actually looking at the cause and trying to find out what had happened, because a month before I was perfectly fine and now I was, you know, in pain multiple nights a week, he wrote me a prescription for a muscle relaxer for when it happened. He told me to take painkillers and to go off of the triggers, but never tried to find out why I was being triggered. Why was I having these reactions? What caused me to have these reactions? You don't develop these type of things. There has to be a toxic trigger. I know that now. So I also started having memory issues. I started leaving things places. I remember I had a box next to my door, and I had to put my keys in person there now. Like, this was a new thing, because otherwise I would spend an hour looking for them in the morning. I would totally forget where I put them. So it was the short-term memory.
Isn't that normal?
Probably not at 25. I mean,
no, that was
yeah,
a
it's
really
normal
bad
now.
joke of how everything's
Yeah.
supposed to be normal. Yeah, you're right. It's not okay.
Yeah. Except now we have early onset Alzheimer's and dementia now. It's a thing. It's terrible. It shouldn't be. So I remember I was calling doctors by the wrong name. And so instead of thinking, why is this happening to me, and connecting the dots, because nobody helped me connect the dots then, I just stopped using names of doctors when I called on them. I just stopped calling them by name. Like, I made up for all of these types of things that were happening, right? I also developed arrhythmia. And this was really interesting because it was right after, you know, right in that same time, and I was calling on cardiologists, and I had one of my cardiologist friends do an EKG for me. And again, he said the same thing. Wow, I usually don't do EKGs on people this young. And I continued with it, and he diagnosed a small arrhythmia, which is not dangerous per se, right? And I've gotten it under control now, more. But it happened right then. And, you know, it wasn't until I started doing the vaccine research and looking at the real science that shows this happening with the toxins that are in vaccines, that I put 2 and 2 together for myself. It's better now. You know, it's been a lot of years. I can eat wheat now. I have to stay very far away from GMOs, because, you know, it's genetically modified yeast that's actually in the vaccines, that I believe is triggering a lot of this. So, you know, people are reacting to the yeast that's in wheat products, in beer, things like that. So I'm better now, but I still have to be careful, and still probably 4 or 5 times a month I will end up with cramping, abdominal cramping. And it's hard. I've kept, you know, I'm really glad that I kept my son vaccine free, you know, for that reason, because I can't think of better health insurance than keeping him vaccine free, because toxins add up. And the more toxins you put on top of all of the toxins we take in the food and the air and the water, eventually you're going to hit your threshold, and it's going to manifest in some type of autoimmune disorder, neurological issue, cancer. You know, our children, the second leading cause of death in children now is cancer. Brain and neck and central nervous system cancer and leukemia are leading the way. I mean, this is exactly where the toxins go. I mean, it is shocking to me what's happening to the health of our children, and there's real science there. There are real studies that show that these things can be caused by some of the toxins in vaccines. So I speak out now against the vaccine program, against Pharma's agenda to keep us sick. And one of the important things that I've learned, and that I think it's important to get people to understand, is why are vaccines so sacred? Why are they so sacred? Why is there so much pressure from the doctors? Why is there so much hoopla with the media? Why is everybody who questions the fact that formaldehyde is known to cause cancer, and it's on Prop 65 here in California, which is, you know, the cancer-causing label. It is banned in certain products, yet it's being injected in vaccines. But if I talk about that, I'm called crazy. I think it's pretty crazy to inject something that's known to cause cancer into your arm and into your children and think that that's healthy, right? So I'm called crazy for this kind of thing, and you as well. You've seen it, Polly. We're all called quacks and crazy, and they come after us, and we're dangerous, and we are gonna kill babies. All of this kind of stuff. Why is it such a touchy topic, right? And it's because it is the foundation for pharma. That is how they create their customer base, is with vaccines. That is that toxic trigger that usually in a lot of children creates a chronic illness, and therefore a chronic pharmaceutical customer. They are creating customers from cradle to grave, now from utero to grave, and they start with vaccines. That is how they create their customer base. That is how they make their profit. So right now we have half of children in the US have a chronic illness. 75% of pediatric office visits end up with a prescription. That did not happen in the 80s when I was growing up. How has that happened, right? This is a huge customer base for pharma, and that's what vaccines have created. That's why they are so sacred. It's not even just the vaccine program itself. It's all of the pills that they then sell to everybody who's vaccine injured. So that is why vaccines are so sacred, and why they are so vicious in the media, and they pay many scientists and researchers and trolls to come out after us, and why they refuse to look at the real science, because that is their business. It is the best, most evil business plan in the world.
You are the most amazing speaker on this subject, and I'm so grateful for you speaking out like you do, so brave, and you speak so well on it. And I can't believe you're going to England. I'm beside myself with excitement that you're going to go over there and support our amazing parents And so everybody, I want you to pray big for Andy and Brandy. Hey, that's kind of cute. Andy and Brandy.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
create a new headline.
Oh well, it could be worse. I mean, the headlines, they create what they want anyway.
But I'm blessed to be able to speak about this, you know, and to have this kind of insider knowledge that I had. You know, I feel like all of the pieces of my life puzzle have fallen together. Like, I was put on this earth to do this. It was completely random that I even became a pharmaceutical sales rep, right? A friend mentioned it one day. Oh, you should go work for Pharma. I have a friend who started. You make a lot of money, right? I chose Merck. I had 3 offers. The fact I chose Merck, the fact I was selling Vioxx, right, which ended up being the biggest medical scandal in the U.S. The fact that I saw the inside and everything that was going on. The fact that then I lived in Europe and I saw the other side. I saw really healthy people over there compared to here. The fact that I was able to have a home birth with my son. The fact that then I moved back to California and was pushed by that doctor to do the research. You know, it's a huge red flag when a doctor pressures me. I was like, huh, okay, that's a red flag. You don't want me to do my research? Okay, there's something wrong there. I'm going to do my research. All of these things kind of fell into place. The fact that my son was in the first class affected by SB 277 in California, right? The fact that that triggered me to start speaking out. So I feel like all the pieces have fallen together, and this is what I'm meant to do. And that's why, even with the intimidation tactics, and they're all over my bank accounts, my, you know, website accounts, like, I mean, it's crazy. But I will not shut up, because this is what I was put on earth to do. And I feel like my son is a part of this mission with me, right? And he is a living example of how healthy a child can be without vaccines.
Right.
And you know what? It's not that he didn't catch pertussis. He did when he was 18 months old, and he got it from me. And if I cough during this video, that is a result of that 3 months that I had pertussis, right? Because I didn't get it in childhood. There's a reason we get these diseases in childhood, because our immune systems, if they're not over toxified, they're the strongest ever. And my son got it at 18 months from me. He kicked it in 4 days. It stuck around with me for 100 days. It was the 100-day cough, literally. He kicked it without meds, with natural treatments. He coughed one night, coughing kept him up. And I've seen what you can do when the immune system is so strong and it doesn't have the toxins in it. When it's not, you know, when you keep them as toxin free as possible. And we can't control everything around us, the air, the water, the food. We're gonna have toxic exposure. We have to control what we can. And that's the medications and the vaccines. And our immune systems are so healthy and so strong if we keep those toxins out. And he is living, breathing proof of it. So I just feel blessed that I can do this, you know? I feel blessed that I am part of such a powerful movement and among so many powerful women and experts that come out and expose this.
You must have done something really good with that talk, because Periscope did that freeze thing again, and then they went
completely died again.
So congratulations.
Yeah.
Brandy, when you come back from England, contact us, because we'd love to hear from you again. You're so good at this. And you know, Brandy's right. There's a lot of powerful people in this. We are more powerful than the dark side. And we
have the light. And right. You know what? People say, but there's so much money on the other side. And I say, we are never going to match their money, but we have the truth, and that alone is priceless.
Yeah.
And we have the people. We just need to get out there and get this in front of other people. And it's not, you know, one of the things they taught us in Pharma, which is really pertinent in this movement, is the first 10 to 12 times you tell a doctor something that goes against their mindset, like they love Celebrex and you're trying to sell them Vioxx, they are not even going to listen to you. Their mind is going to be closed. But once they hear that 12th, 13th, 14th time, they're going to open their mind. That 15th time, you'll have them writing Vioxx. That's what they used to tell us. So right now we're in the beginning of this, right? This is like the first, second, third, fourth, fifth time maybe people are hearing things. So they're defensive because they don't want to be told that they maybe should have done as much research on vaccines as they did on the car seat, or they don't want to feel like they hurt possibly their child, right? So they need to hear it more, and they need to hear it from different sources. That's why they have different pharma reps calling on the same doctors. That's why they have, you know, education units. They have doctors speaking to doctors. They have conferences. They need to hear it from different sources, which is why I started the billboard campaign and the media campaign, as well as the grassroots campaign. We need 1 million mothers and fathers on the ground getting flyers up every time they go to Trader Joe's, every time you go to Starbucks, every time you go to a library, and getting this information in front of people's eyes, because we haven't done enough of that. Pharma would love it to be all at the legislative level because they own us there. We need grassroots. We need to take it out to the streets
and
put it on the streets.
So you got these leaflets on Learn the Risk. So
there's free downloadable flyers at learntherisk.org. There's free downloadable flyers. There's 6 versions, and I want to add more. There's one on autism that says vaccines and autism. Download it. They're free, 2 per page. Download it, take it to Kinko's if you don't want to do it on your home printer. Put them in your purse, put them everywhere. There's also other materials that you can buy online, and every cent goes back to the cause. Every cent. I don't take a salary. Right now, I'm blessed enough to not have to do that. I can't do it forever, but right now I don't take a salary. I don't even take speaking fees when I speak. Like, I do this because it's the right thing to do. And, you know, I didn't speak up when I saw everything go down with Vioxx, and I can't not speak up now. I mean,
well, you are doing an amazing job for us all. Thank you. Now you know you get to sign the bus.
I know. I'm excited to sign the bus because I've been seeing the bus go around all around the U.S. and I'm like, and I thought about having someone sign it for me when that offer was out there, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna wait. And I use my instinct for everything. And my intuition said, wait, and I get to sign it now. I'm very excited. You can
sign your son's name. These are unvaccinated children, and the only reason we set this up is because they were crying that they couldn't sign the bus. I thought, you have no idea that you don't want to be signing the outside of the bus, so that's why we opened it up. So from this part forward of the bus, that's our memorial to all, everyone who's lost their lives to autism. Oh, sorry. So anyway, and then this is the unvaccinated. So if you want to sign his name on there, because this bus is going to live in the CDC when Dave Weldon gets in. Which is going to happen. We are then going to drive the bus down to him and hand him the keys and say, this needs to be a memorial reminder for every scientist that's in that building to never let anything like this happen again. Yeah?
I don't know, if you give him the keys, I wonder what they'll do with it.
Dave Weldon will be look after it. He's a good man. But we just need to make sure. Yeah, good. He is. He's a good man.
It's good to hear.
I mean,
we need more good people.
I don't think, I mean, my first, if I could choose anyone to be head of the CDC, it would be Suzanne Humphreys. But clearly that's not going to happen.
Or Tony Bark.
Yeah, I don't know Tony very well. I've met her a couple of times, but I don't know her very well. But I'm looking forward to her. I think she's coming on the bus at some point.
They would be an amazing team. Right there.
There you go.
One head of the NIH, one head of CDC.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then a really good safety commission. We could pick them all.
Yes.
Marcella, I mean, everybody, all of you.
I'll be on the Pharma Regulatory Commission.
I'll be on the Be Nice to Parents Do Never Hurt Any of My Children Again committee. The Fierce Mother committee. Yeah, so, can't remember what I was talking about now. Oh, you can sign the inside of the bus now.
Oh yes, so I'm very excited to sign the bus. I have been waiting almost a year for this, and I'm really excited to sign my name on the bus.
I can't believe we're flying to England. I'm still trying to get over it. It's such a long flight from here. You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's like really
I'm
long.
used to flying and traveling and all of that.
Yes, come in. I know we're late. People are getting stressed, aren't they?
Oh, are you guys not filming anymore?
Yeah, we're still coming.
Lunch is here.
Okay.
What do you mean lunch is here? Look what we've been had delivered. So
Alright, I'm going to sign the bus.
All right.
Everybody come on.
Alright, I'm going to sign Bastian's name over here.
Okay.
On the bus, right?
Can you hold this so I can...
Yeah. Oh, you got autism mothers.
Alright.
Your phone
right
is so
here.
hot, by the way. It's burning.
Oh, it's always hot, even when it's off. Hi, Pharma.
You know what that means, don't you? Yeah.
They're recording it. So what number would he be? Anyway, he's...
1. We just did it 1.
Hold on.
Crikey, where did she do it?
Vax free.
The woman that just signed in here. 184 you are. Well, he is. How you doing, Awesome?
Yeah. And don't forget, you actually have your meeting.
184. There it is.
Hooray!
There it is.
All right, let's go and have you sign
number
outside.
184.
What would Brandy's number be? What's the next number?
63.
63.
Yeah, 63.
Oh, 4.
You apparently gave 25 and 26 earlier.
All right. So what's my number?
63. 4763.
4763. And you can.
So I'm 4,763, guys. That's going to be my number.
That's
And
your
I
tattoo
already
number.
had a spot over here that I was eyeing.
Oops. Sorry.
Because I like to do things differently, and this is way too in line for me. I'm a little bit of a rebel.
Yeah. We don't
I
want
sign
it all
sideways. 4,700.
And 63. Oh, you're like me. I draw hearts over as well. Good job.
There I am, right here. Right here.
Thank you, Brandy.
Thank you.
Have fun in
And
England.
Thank you to every single person that's being brave out there, that's getting this information out there. Thank you, Polly. Thank you, Anu. Thank you, the whole Vax team. And thanks to every single warrior out there. Every voice needs to be heard. Every voice is important. No effort is ever wasted. And go download free materials on learntherisk.org. You can follow me on Facebook. We do lots of great things. I post lots of resources on the Facebook page, on the website. And
And that'll be that.
that is that. Thanks, thank you, Polly.
Thank
and
you,
thanks
Brandy.
to everybody.
So it's like
We are going to change the world.
We are. Look at all these phones everywhere. This is your one. So look at
Yep. So one more last. Yay! We are going to change the world.
We are. You already are. We all. Let's
do that.
The
So are
people
you.
are. It's gonna happen. Oh. Thank you.
Polly, I'm sorry, but